Hello everyone, welcome back to my Unreal Engine tutorial series in making your own 3D platformer. In this episode we'll go over distracting our AI with sound as well as thrown objects. I think our AI can see us from here. Let me just go hide quickly. So let me show you what we did in this video. So we created a sound system, so if we whistle, the AI will then go over to where we whistled. I think it's because it's spotting us. It's not moving immediately, right? And then we can go ahead and throw an object in the same place. And the AI, once it loses sight of us, will go to investigate. So let me show you how easily we can get this into your game. Let's begin. So first thing we're going to do is we're going to go to our BPI AI controller, right? Open this up, and we're going to create a new function here that will basically detect the AI. The hearing. So come over to AI perception, and we want to go over to the sensors config on the right and add a new sensors config. We're going to say hearing, and then we can go in and adjust the hearing if we need to, but this is all fine. Max age we'll say is 5 seconds, just because we don't want it to last forever. So now with that set, what we can do is on the AI perception, we can go to this on target perception updated, right? And it'll give us this new function here. And this is just going to be what happens when the AI hears or sees something. Now we've done it in a different way for the updating the target via the sight function. That's this AI perceives thing. And this is just a different way, but this will just be for hearing. So what we want to check as well quickly is this detection by affiliation. Remember I showed you under here as well, these all have to be ticked on. The same has to be set for hearing. Otherwise Unreal gets those weird bugs where it doesn't detect stuff properly. So from here we're just going to create a new function, and we're going to call it hearing detection. And we're going to need 2 inputs. So the first one is going to be our target, which will be our type actor, like before. And then we need a new one, which is called stimulus, which is just a type of stimulus. Yeah, stimulus like this, right? So that's gonna come. So if we go back to our red graph and just call out this hearing detection, you'll see now we've got all of this like this, right? And that's how it should be. This will just find the actor from the AI perception and get the stimulus, which in this case is the hearing. So back in our hearing function, we're gonna drag out for stimulus and go get sense from stimulus. It's the only one available. And we're just gonna make sure that this is equal to our hearing. AI sense hearing, this one over here. Get a branch, connect it up, and then we're just going to get blackboard, just like so, and then we're gonna need to set value as vector. So what this is doing is it's just getting the location of the hearing sound and setting the blackboard key as a vector, right? So we need to obviously get the blackboard key's name. So drag out here and go make a little name. And we're just going to call this investigation location. Now make sure that you copy and paste this, or copy it for now, because we need to make sure that our key inside our blackboard is the exact same. So open up your blackboard. And we're going to add a new one, a new vector called investigation location, like so. Right, there we go, perfect. And obviously we need a vector. So come back over to your stimulus and go break, and we'll get all of this info here, right? It's basically like the break hit result. So we're just going to get stimulus location and connect this up, and you can reroute it nicely like so. And then we've got this. We could probably go hide unconnected pins, so we just have a bit of a neater looking graph. So now that that's up and connected, we can go over to our character's behavior tree. Okay, so now that we're in our behavior tree, we're going to change a bit of how this works, right? So from our selector or our sequencer, we're just going to drag this up. This is going to be our main sequence for the hearing. So from here, we're going to just drag out a selector, and then we're going to get two sequences. So sequence over here, and this we can just relabel to node name to investigation sequence. Is that a space there? Looks up, and then we're going to add another sequence, and we'll just call this one patrol sequence. And then just connect up your nodes like they were before, but to the new sequence. So like this, right? And then we can move our comment back to the way it was before, like so, right? Okay, so what will happen is when we get to this point, it will now check that we are either going to patrol or we're investigating, right? So what we can do is drag out from here, get a move to node, and we're going to just change this move to be the investigation location. And we're going to want to add a blackboard condition to this. So come over to add decorator, right click on your sequence, add decorator, blackboard. And we're going to just set this to on results changed self, so that if nothing happens here, like there is no sound, then it goes to the patrol sequence. But if there is, then it will do this node, right? And we need to check the query to check if the investigation location is set. Then what we're going to do is we're going to drag out another one, which is a wait node, which we've used before. And we can add a random deviation of a second to this. So what's going to happen is when the AI hears something, it will move to that location and then wait plus minus 5 seconds in that location before either, or in this case, it will resume. But obviously if it sees our player, it will then go ahead and attack. And now the problem is we've got this set, but we don't have a way to clear this investigation location. So if this all set, basically what's going to happen as it stands now is this investigation location has been set by the AI perception, and it doesn't automatically clear. So the character will just stay in this never-ending cycle of standing in the investigation location. So to fix that, we need to add a new task to get rid of it. So come over to new task, go to blueprint base, go to your tasks folder, and we go for this BT task clear investigation variable. Okay. And in here, we're going to go to our functions, go to receive execute AI, and we're going to add a new variable called the investigation position. And this will be type of blackboard key selector, right? And make sure it's instance editable. And come over here, drag it out, get and clear the blackboard variable. And then we need to finish the execute, right? But there is a node we need to put in between these two, just so that we know, and make sure to check that it is a success. So for now, as it stands, we'll leave it like this. But what we're going to do is we're going to add a widget onto the enemy AI, so that visually we can see that they are investigating with a widget. So essentially what we're going to add in between here is just to hide that widget that we no longer see it, right? So that's what that will do. So come back over to your behavior tree, and we're just going to drag out that task of clear investigation variable. And we just need to change the investigation position to this investigation location, right? Okay. So let's comment this and make this investigate sound, right? And save it. So what we're gonna do now is we're gonna open up our let's get another content browser. We're gonna open up our player. So come over to BB player. And we can just go over here and add a debug key or a key, whatever you want. I'm going to debug key. Let's use H because I don't think we're using H for anything, right? And we're going to do something called report noise event, right? So essentially what this is doing is it sends out a noise event to where our player is. But it needs a location, so get our get actor location. Click this up, and it does need an instigator, so we'll set it as self, just so that we can report this correctly. Right? And because we want to do that, we also want to do something fun. So let's go play sound at location, and we can just connect this up like this. Let's go get a sound like a whistle. So I'll be back now as soon as I've got a whistle. Okay, so I've downloaded a whistle sound. I'm just going to add it here. And I'm just going to change the volume a bit to maybe 0.8. And that should be fine. You can mess around with the whistle settings if you want, but that's fine for me. And just comment this as make noise event. Right? Compile, save. Yeah, next thing we're going to do is we're going to create a UI for this. So come over to the UI folder and we're just going to create a new widget called WB, user widget WB investigation AI. Right? And all we're going to do here is we're going to get a text. You can do whatever you want, but I want a text. And we're going to set this to the side on screen, like so. And we're just gonna make something like that. Oh, well, let's make it better. Something like that. And then you can go ahead and animate it or do what you want, but this is just for what I'm going to use for a quick change, right? So we're gonna come over, open up our AI, and we're gonna add a new widget to it. Widget. And we're gonna come over here and we're gonna call this the investigation widget. Then we can close all of this to find our user interface over here, and we're just going to change this to the WB investigation. There we go. Yeah, and it's huge. Why is it so big? Attach it to the character, set all this back to 0. Or is it so far away? With the center, justification, compound, so let's see. There we go. Okay, great. That should be 90. We can move this down a bit. Make it directly over the head. Okay, great. Make it screen. Nope. Okay, leave it as world for now. Nope, that's fine. And then we're just gonna have to set its visibility at the start. So, and okay, so come over to your event graph, and we're just gonna create a new custom event here. Custom event. We call this enable investigation UI, right? And we're just gonna get the widget blueprint, drag it in, get, and we're gonna go set visibility, if I can spell, like so. This, and then we'll create another custom event called disable investigation UI, and we're just gonna basically copy this and set it like this. Oops, back to that, this down to here, turn off the visibility, and we'll just comment this as enable slash disable invest UI. So come over to our BP AI controller, and we're just going to go into the yeah, so off here we're just gonna get our enemy base that, remember, we made the reference to earlier, and we're just gonna go enable investigation UI. So and save, and then go over to our task, and we need to be able to clear it here. So control pawn, let's see if we can go disable, nope. So what we do here is go cast to BP enemy base, like so, and connect this up like this, connect this up like this. And then we're just going to go disable investigation UI, like so, connect this up, and happy days. So compile and save. Now that should be working. So let's go test it out. So remember I made it H. So there's our AI, we're going to make sure he doesn't see us. We'll press H. See now it's searching. And then it should disappear when it goes back to press H again. Let's see, it goes to investigate the location. And then we can do it again over here. As you can see, that's now working. So the next thing we're going to do is we're going to make it so that we can throw an object into the world and have our AI go and investigate it, like a distraction technique, right? So we're going to have to do a couple things. So let's go open up our content browser, and I've imported this animation. It's just a throw-in animation. It will be in the link below in the description, so you can grab it there. So download it, import it, and make sure it's on your same skeleton. So then we're going to go right click, create anim montage. I'll just call this the throw montage. And we're going to just come along to find where we want the object to spawn. So for example, we say here at frame 50, and come over to your notification track, right click and go add notify, and we're just gonna go montage notify over here, and we'll just call this spawn, right? And so that we know in our what this notification is doing, essentially. So come over to your player blueprint, and we're just going to make a new one here as well. We're just going to call it debug key. Obviously you can make events, input actions, should I say, for this, and I'm just going to go debug kj for this instance. I will probably make the input actions for these a bit later off video, but you can do it and do the same thing essentially. And then we'll just go from here, and we shall go play montage like so, and make sure you get your mesh to connect to the mesh so it knows what it's playing. And then we're just going to get the throw montage like so, right? And then all we're going to do is come at the unnotify begin, and we're going to go spawn actor from, I think it's spawn actor from class. Yeah, that should be it. And we're going to split the struct, and we're going to change this as well, and we're going to try to change this to always spawn ignore collisions for now. Obviously once you adjust it, it's fine. So if you compile it now, you're going to get an error because we haven't created this class. So let's do that now. Open up your content browser, go to your blueprints. We're going to say weapons because it's technically a kind of weapon, and make a new class. We're going to make it an actor and call this BP thrown object. Or let's just call it a rock. No, let's just call it rock. In here we need a static mesh. I'm gonna call this SM rock. And make sure this is your root, because we're gonna want to enable a couple things on it. So let's just add a projectile movement to it, right? And basically what a projectile movement is, I'm not sure if I've covered this already, but it handles how flying objects like bullets, thrown objects, arrows, all handle in the world, right? So we're just going to set up a couple parameters. So we'll go initial speed 500 and we'll say max speed 600, so that the as gravity takes place, it'll get faster and faster, right? We'll say it should bounce. Bounciness, we'll say probably not that much, so maybe 0.8. Everything else is fine. Yeah, everything else is, yeah, is fine, right? And now we just need a rock. Let's see if we have one rock. Stone. Okay, let's just use any old object, or we can get one off Fab quickly. So let's do that. Open up Fab. And I'll be back once I've downloaded the rock. So as you can see, I've downloaded this rock here. And now we're just going to go into our blueprint. And we're just going to type in the name. This is awful, but there we go. And that's going to be about the size of our rock. So I think it's a bit huge, because I think these graph squares are 1 by 1 meters. So let's just drop that down to say 0.1 on everything, maybe even less, say 0.05. Yeah, let's say that's fine. We can always check it once we throw it, right? So come back over to your player, and now we can go BP throw what's it, rock. Yep, there we go. And now if we compile, we shouldn't get a problem. So what we need to do is come back over to our rock, and on the SM rock, we're just going to come all the way to the bottom here and say on component hit, right? We are then going to do the report event, report noise event, like so. So what we need to do now is get the actor location, like so. And this will be of type self, instigator will be of type self, and everything else is fine there. And obviously we can then play sound at location and go over here, and we'll just find something in here already. Just pick anything you find it easy. I'm just gonna try. Now let's go with that as the third sound, right? We'll change the volume a bit. We can add attenuation if we've got it. Happy days. Okay, I also want to add a do once here, because I think if the object bounces, it's going to play it multiple times, or constantly if it hits the ground. So I think that's fine. I think that should be fine now. Okay, and or come back to our player now, and now we actually need to fill this in so that we can get this to spawn. So we're gonna get our actor location for ourselves, and we need to maybe drag this out, get socket location. Yeah, let's do that. Okay, connect this up like so. I can probably say plus, say 20 in the X, 20 in the Y. No, let's just make it 20 in the Y up. So there's more forward, I think. Y is forward. I'm trying to remember here. And we need the spawn rotation. Oh, and the socket location, which we'll fill in now. Okay, so let's get the spawn transformation and also add in the socket name, right? So we're going to drag out our camera and go get world rotation. Connect this up like this, and then come over to your mesh, find your skeleton over here, open up the skeleton and just find your right hand bone, and there's our socket. So just copy and paste the name, hand grip R. So we're going to go over here, hand grip R, like so. And we're going to connect it up like so, make sure everything's fine. Let's just connect this like this. We'll check if this works afterwards. Compile and save, and let's just check that this works. So into our world, take this, and there we go. You can see it freaks out a bit, and our characters technically heard the sound but can't get to it, right? So let's go over here, and we're gonna come back to our BP rock, and we'll say after a delay of 2 seconds it will then destroy itself. So destroy actor, like so. That's fine, that's all fine. On your BP rock, just set your scaling back to 1. The rock I used, when I set the scaling so small, it actually made it really impossible to see. So set it back to a scale that you can see, and you can test this just by throwing the rock in your game, right? So now that that's set and this is all fine, you can actually get rid of this. This is fine. Hand grip. You can change the rotation, the speed of the rock. So let's say initial speed is 800 and this will be 900, and that should all be fine. Let's say rotation follows velocity off, because that I think was causing it with spinning. And let's go over here and then throw the rock, which is J. And there we go, after 2 seconds it disappears. Okay, and that's because the AI, I can't think, doesn't reach the zone where it made the noise. So it's now investigating that sound where it bounced. And then after 5 seconds it will then go back to patrolling. There we go. So let's change a couple things quickly. Just change this to be way less bounciness, set it to like 0.1, set the friction up to say like 0.5. This is all just obviously me just being pedantic. Now you can come in here, you can throw the rock. You can see the air is now wanting to check. Since the rock didn't fly as far as we want, we can throw it over here again. It sees us. Yeah, it saw us. So now it's going to investigate the rock sound. So again, if we throw it over here, quickly hide. I don't think that was in the location, so let's come over here. Let's chuck this one here quickly. Make a noise, so it's gonna see us there. But if we go and hide, it will then go to investigate. There we go. So that's how easily we can get this into our game. So we've made it so that the AI can hear us whistle. And we'll go over to investigate. It obviously saw us there. And now to investigate that afterwards. And then we can also go ahead and throw a rock here. And it should then go to investigate the rock. Maybe it didn't hear us. I think it's because it cleared the state. So there we go, it should hear the rock once we hide. Right. Great. So in this video I've shown you how to distract the AI with sound as well as with rocks. So quick thing as well, quickly I can show you, is if we go back to our blueprint, here on this noise, this max range, you can change this to be much smaller. so that if the rock only lands within, say, 600 units of the AI, the AI will just be alerted. As it is now with the max range and loudness, it will hear it from anywhere in the world. So obviously you want to change these to be however you want. So with that, that's going to be it for this video, and I hope you learned something, and I'll see you in the next one. Cheers.